Chapter 8. After I was removed from Mrs. Clensazer's class and taken to Principal Eczema's office, my teachers and the other students treated me differently. A few of my classmates, assuming that I'm some kind of cheater, asked me for the answers to tests. An eighth grader, with what looked to me like a full-on beard, demanded my math homework from last Tuesday. I was so startled that I gave him my entire binder, which I later found on top of the trash by the boys' bathroom near the gym. He'd left half of a roll of breath mints inside, but I think it was on accident, not a gift. I was surprised that I was looking forward to the long walk from Sequoia Middle School over to the district offices where I had my second meeting with Mr. Del Duke. Knowing that I had somewhere to go gave me a new sense of purpose, even if it meant again lying to my parents. But it was easier to lie the second week than the first time around, which was sad. I decided any behavior, good or bad, could become a routine. This was probably why people were able to empty porta potties or regulate the quality of a canned cat food in factories with actual taste tests. Now, when the last bell rang and the school suddenly exploded, because that's how it felt, I gathered up my things with new gusto. I like the word gusto. It should be used more in daily life. The doors of the school flew open and the students burst from the building as if there had been some kind of toxic waste spill inside. I was now part of that. I, too, had someplace to go and a limited amount of time to get there. When I got to his office, I could see right away that Del Duke was prepared in a different way. He still looked as if he had slept for the last week in his clothes, but his beard had been trimmed or at least washed, and his very cluttered office had been straightened up. However, what made me smile as I stood in the doorway was that I saw he now had a small silver frame on the table beside his desk. And in the picture frame, like some kind of lost relative, was a photo of a lemur. He was nervous. He struggled to make conversation, but then he finally just blurted out, "What would you think about taking a test again, like the one you did at school?" I decided that was why he was anxious, and so I put an end to it. "I'll take one right now if you want." This made him very happy. He had a folder behind his desk with test booklets inside. He was suddenly all jumpy, and I had to help him with the pencil and a timer. I tried to explain that I wouldn't need the allotted 50 minutes. He didn't believe me until I finished the first test in 14 minutes. After he corrected the exam, I removed another booklet from the pile and did that one in 12 minutes and 7 seconds. If I could have perfect test conditions, a room with decent ventilation, and a glass of unsweetened green iced tea, I would have cut off another 2 minutes. I got up to go because my session was now over and Del Duke was smiling, unbroken mouth expansion. He said that I didn't miss a single question on either test. I said, in a very matter-of-fact way, flawless. Maybe he thought we were playing the word game because he made a fist and pumped it like he was pulling down on parachute cord. Even though I've never done that, I had an idea how enthusiastic one would be to pull the chute. He then said in a voice that was too loud, "Willow Chance!" Mr. Del Duke didn't want me to wait a week for our next meeting. He thought that I should come again during his first open hour the next day. He told me that he would bring a surprise to the meeting. I have never been big on surprises, but I didn't tell him. I was planning on assessing the acidity of the soil in my garden for the rest of the week. I worked hard to keep it at a pH of 6.5, but I agreed to return because he seemed to be very excited about the aptitude test, and I thought that he might be depressed. It was possible that he was making some progress in his mental health condition by seeing me. The next afternoon, I was 5 minutes early, and right away I knew that something was different. The door to the trailer office was open, but not wide like usual. It was open only a slice. So I looked inside, and I didn't see Del Duke. I saw two bodies. but not dead bodies, alive. I stepped back, but one of the two, the teenage girl, had seen me, and she said, "It's okay, you can come in." I didn't know if I should do this. The room was cramped, and even though there was an extra chair, I felt like I was intruding. But then the girl got up and pushed the door open all the way and said, "We're almost out of here." I could now see that an older boy was hunched over a coloring book, and he was very intently filling in the spaces. I've never understood coloring books. Either draw a picture or don't, but why waste your time coloring in someone else's work? I knew that Del Duke saw other students from the school district, but the sight of the two older kids made me uncomfortable. The girl suddenly said, "My brother won't leave until he finishes his assignment. Sorry. His session was over 10 minutes ago." The boy shot the girl a hostile look, but returned to his feverish coloring. The girl then continued, "Mr. Duke went to get a soda. At least that's where he said he was going to do. But he's been gone a long time, so I don't believe him." I nodded but didn't speak. I admired the suspicion in the girl's statement, and I now hoped that Del Duke didn't walk through the door holding a Diet Pepsi. I made a note to myself to talk to him about soft drinks. Those beverages are not healthy. I was tired from dodging the volleyball in gym class, and so I took the only other seat in Del's office. I didn't want to stare, but the teenage girl now at my side was visually very interesting. Like me, she was someone impossible to easily peg in terms of ethnic group. At first glance, she might have been African American. Her skin was dark, her hair was shiny, and a bed of curls. I kept my head facing forward and completely still, but moved my eyes into their corners to get a better look. With this closer peripheral examination, I suddenly wondered if the girl was a Native American. I took great interest in the cultures of indigenous people. What if this girl was a member of the Kahua tribe? The Kahua lived in Southern California and once thrived in Bakersfield. It was possible, but not probable. Suddenly, I couldn't control myself. I turned to the girl next to me and asked, "Do you speak Toktuk?"